Mr. Chairman. I understand that we'll be able to voice vote U.S. attorneys. We have 6 judicial nominees, and I'm going to vote in favor of Judge Garnett. She served as a federal prosecutor for more than a decade, prosecuting eco-terrorists and drug traffickers. She's also served as a state court judge since 2014. I'm just going to comment on one other person that I'm disappointed with the fact that we didn't get answers. I do hope that nominees from this administration would be more responsible than Judge Cato. I was disappointed she wouldn't answer whether she thought racial discrimination was wrong. She also could not have or could have answered whether a case she dismissed on procedural grounds rather than reaching the merits. In other words, why she did that. I also want to briefly touch on the nomination process for Judge Jackson. I'm hoping that Senator Urban and I can send a request for documents to the Sentencing Commission. This administration and Democratic senators have cited her experience on the Sentencing Commission as a very significant part of her experience, and of course it is a very significant part. That's why it's important that we get documents to see her legal reasoning and views. It's part of a thorough examination of any Supreme Court nominee who has worked in the federal government, and compared to the document requests that we had to make available for Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court, these sentencing documents are peanuts by comparison. But now let me address one point that some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been making about documents. Some have been comparing this nomination to Judge Barrett's nomination, and those are apples and oranges comparison because Justice Barrett never served in the federal government in a policy role. That's why she didn't have any additional documents to request when she was nominated to the Supreme Court. I hope we can reach an agreement and get these documents soon. Finally, I want to briefly follow up on something that was said by one of my Democrat colleagues on this committee in regard to carjacking hearing that we had Tuesday. This person said that last year's American Rescue Plan Act provided $350 billion in state and local funding that the Biden administration has made available for use in hiring law enforcement personnel and purchasing law enforcement technology and equipment. This is an enormous exaggeration. In his opening remarks, Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia testified that major cities have limited American Rescue Plan funding for law enforcement. And let's make it clear, he was very right. So we go to the database from the National Conference of State Legislatures, the National Association of Counties, and the National League of Cities. According to those organizations, only a tiny fraction of the American Rescue Plan, $350 billion, is specifically allocated to the police department. To be exact, that is $616 million to be allocated to police. That's less than 1/5 of 1% of what the American Rescue Plan is spending on state and local governments, and it's a lot less than the almost $900 million that just 9 of our biggest cities defunded their police department in 2020. I yield.